LiveU booth. On everyone walking by the LiveU booth, please take a seat, relax your feet. It's been 3 days. This will be worth it, I promise. We're here today to talk about cloud production. Everybody take a shot. We said cloud. 2 shots if I say AI. This is my dear friend John Servizzi from Tupelo Raycom. John, welcome.
Hello.
So cloud production, this has been around since really the pre-pandemic, but exploded in the pandemic, post-pandemic, and we're seeing a wide embrace and validation in the marketplace that this could be a possible alternative to what we've always done traditionally, which was in trucks or remote trucks. LiveU launched a product a couple years ago, LiveU Studio, and so we're very well familiar with it and heavily invested in it. John, however, tell us a little bit about Tupelo and what you do there.
So Tupelo Honey is a gray television company. We produce roughly 800 or so live sporting events a year, do some things in entertainment, original programming, all kinds of television production, both for external clients to Gray, but also for internal, our own stations and syndications. So pretty wide range of things, but a lot of college athletics and a lot of Remy these days. So appropriate for the conversation.
And what are you responsible for?
As little as possible.
Perfect. Same.
I am the president of the company and also the chief executive floor sweeper. I really have always been a person that likes to be involved, likes to understand what it actually is that we're doing, likes to marvel at what my staff does every day and what they're able to accomplish using the tools that we give them. I'm probably more involved than anyone wants me to be, but that's a conversation for another day. We could do that at LiveU after dark.
I'll ask Ryan.
Yeah.
So you are a big proponent of Remy production. You're one of the handful of packagers, production companies that have really embraced it for your business.
Mm-hmm.
So what drove you to making that decision? How did that affect what you guys do day to day? And really, how do you decide when it's appropriate to deploy trucks and when it's appropriate to bring them into Indianapolis?
So initially the concept of Remy for us was around events where doing it on site or doing it with a truck was prohibitive for any number of reasons. So I specific examples would be like skiing. Stringing fiber down the side of a mountain is neither easy, fun, nor cheap. So what we were able to do, what we figured out very early was for events like skiing and rowing, where we could put cameras became a lot easier when we were doing it with LiveU backpacks. And so out of that, it became, okay, now there's some additional creativity we can do. It's a lot easier to integrate some of the production technologies. It's easier to integrate a drone into the production if you just have to hand the operator a backpack and they can go wherever they want to go on the course. They can pilot from wherever they are. So some of it led to some production enhancements, and it's always that perfect storm of we're producing better coverage now that's cheaper. And when those two things start happening in tandem enough, you really don't get to do it another way. So the expectation becomes you're going to do it in a Remy model as much as possible, and that's really where we are now. I think of the events we're strongly in the 70% range of Remy now.
Wow. Drones, but also robotic dogs.
Right. Yeah. LRD over there.
Let's throw that in there. All right. So
we used to use a lot of Fidos.
Ooh. All right. So obviously things have evolved, right? It was innovative 6 or 7 years ago to do Remy productions. Now the next level is cloud production. Yeah. So, it's becoming increasingly more popular, but not increasingly deployed. And is that maybe a limitation of where everybody is in their innovation, or are there appropriate, deployments that make sense today?
I think some of what's going to happen is I think some of the low-hanging fruit is going to be the first to be picked. I think one of the things, and I think we actually talked about this last year at this very spot, was the fact that everybody has a different definition of what they mean when they say cloud production. And frankly, a lot of the cloud production that is heralded is actually just operating a piece of hardware from a different location. And that's fun, that's cool, but it's not really the next level, right? It's not taking that next big step. I think as far as when it will happen, I think once we're to the point where we can take the next step forward, I think a lot of the cloud tools right now are, sort of I don't want to say infancy, but I equated it to somebody the other day of TriCaster, and took the world by storm right around 2005, 2006. And what has happened in the cloud is we've gone from that version of 2005 to like a 2013 or 14 version in the span of a year, right? So that development has happened very, very fast, and I have a feeling we're going to get to the 2019 version in the next 3 or 4 months. And so as that gets better, as the capability increases, obviously people will use it more. It has a lot of the same advantages that REMI does in terms of keeping costs under control, in terms of allowing staff to do more, opening up the possibilities of production, because that's a huge part of it as well. You can do more when you're not on site. You can think about things in a more creative way. You can push the boundaries a little bit. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're getting really close. And instant replay is a big part of that. Saw some things over here that I was really excited about. It's a hole right now, but we're getting there so quickly that I think it's only a matter of time.
We did have this conversation last year, but there's one thing that's different from last year to this year.
I'm fatter.
No,
and you're thinner.
No, well, that's true. I am thinner.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I will.
So now
agree
had a
with you
baby.
there. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. No problem.
But you used LiveU Studio for a recent production. Tell us about it.
I did. So it was a bowling event. Again, low-hanging fruit.
I was on the bowling team, so I would not call it low-hanging fruit. But go ahead.
It was a fairly easy spare. It was not a 7-10 split from a production standpoint, right?
Fair.
So it was good. I think I frustrated your team a little bit, as I always do, because I think if a tool is built well, you shouldn't have to show me how to use it, right? So open it up, turn me loose, let me figure it out. Let me see if I can break it. And I did. I broke it a couple of times. But I learned a ton in doing it, and it was easy and it was functional. The production was not, again, it was low-hanging fruit. It wasn't something I'm particularly proud of from an output. We weren't spending a ton of money. It was basically fixed cameras and graphics, but it was fixed cameras and graphics delivered in a way that we've never been able to deliver it before. It looked really clean. The data integration was crisp. I wound up bringing some feeds into, I actually landed them in OBS and used OBS to crop, and then used the output of OBS as an SRT into LiveU.
Nice. And
so it was like, okay, and this was things that I was discovering. I'm a bit of a procrastinator too, but I was discovering these things, the afternoon before our morning session.
Fun.
And going, okay, how are we going to do this? And so it is that element of what we're doing in the cloud, and where we are now is that you can bring some of these non-traditional tools, and you can manipulate things in a way that you can't when you're on a truck. There's a certain level of what we have to be when we're playing with the adult toys. And this was it was fun. It was a different way to take it, and the system responded beautifully to what we were doing. I didn't have a hiccup really the entirety of the event. I ran I was running two simultaneous shows as a single operator on two laptops in front of me, and it was great. So
where else can you spin up two productions and stream two distinct feeds as one operator. That seems game changing.
And by the time we got through the first session, I decided I wanted to see it on another monitor, so I started backing out and sending it to a new output and putting that monitor in front of me, started driving my staff crazy, asking for other things, started recording and doing various different different bit rates on the output, started to play with things and see what we could do. And again, I wanted to break it, and when I was doing things the right way, I couldn't. So the only way I could break it was by just kind of being stupid.
What surprised you the most?
I'm not as dumb as I thought I was.
Did that surprise you?
That's one. Anyway, thank you. Wait, thanks for the support. No, I think the simplicity of it was surprising. I like simple tools. I like things that I imagine it as a second screen production experience. Something that supports multiple languages, taking a clean feed with a unilateral camera and cutting between. There's a lot of use cases that I saw for it, and that was, I think what was surprising is that in show, because it was such a simple show, I had so much time to think, and I was just spinning up. Okay, here's a way I could do this. Here's a way I could use this, and so it was. I think the amount of fun I was having, it was a little 2005, and that was fun. That was fun.
That's awesome. So then, now that you've used it, you kind of answered it a little bit, but what really scalable applications do you see now? Because you guys are predominantly contracted to package, produce, deliver the game, but what else now can you offer? Are you going to expand what else you can do? Does this enable your business in any way?
Yeah, there's a studio show that we produce, sports wagering, that I actually think would fit pretty well in this. There's additional sporting events. I was telling your team before that I'm not sure that I'm not sure I'm ready to cut volleyball in it because it's just so fast. But soccer, I think I can cut. High school, college soccer, I think it's a perfect solution. As part of Gray Television, it's something that I would certainly advocate to our stations. I don't rise to the level of making any decisions for the stations, but I can tell you that, as they look to do high school football coverage, as they look to do, some of the things that they're doing in the community, this is a tool that's perfectly appropriate for that.
And I think that's sort of a perfect way to put it, because when I entered the market in the industry some number of years ago, people were hesitant about REMI production. They were hesitant about using anything other than fiber and satellite. And it was always, we're going to start with this. We'll start with this small thing. And that was the beginning of real innovation. And so LiveU Studio, yes, this is one of many, right? I'm not going to say LiveU is going to do it the best, but we're going to try our best to do the best. But do you see that future? Do you now kind of, is it lift a curtain of anything is possible?
Yeah, I do, and I like the idea of, our REMIs now that we're doing with the 810s, right? So a college football game, we're deploying 3 810s on site to bring back 12 feeds from site. We're bringing back some extra stuff on SRT that doesn't need to be timed. We're doing a lot in that kind of old school REMI workflow, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Old school already.
The old school REMI. But I think there's a step here. I think this is where, again, it fits that sort of lower tier production. It will continue to get better. I don't see us doing high school. I don't see us doing college football in it. I don't, because I hope those shows for us stay at the level that I want it to be beyond this product. But there's plenty of stuff that is at this level, and that's the reality. Is we all talk about the big things, we all celebrate the big things, but there's a whole lot more of the little stuff that we're not talking about. And for an industry, I think this is something you really saw in Remy, and until COVID, really forced the issue. For an industry that's so proud as we are of being cutting edge and being new and coming out here and talking about what's next, we're terrified of actually changing the way we do things.
Right.
This is something that will change the way we do things, and I'm here for it. I got a couple more changes in me.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, well, thank you so much, John. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to be skinny next year.
No,
Right.
I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody.